Ladies and gentlemen, it's time! F1 23, the hero we didn't deserve, but the hero we needed. And it's only slightly less crippling than the last game. Crossplay, Division 1, Season 10, and to top it all off, we find ourselves in Silverstone for what should be an incredible fixture today. 18 corners make up this legendary 5.9-kilometer circuit nestled near the Northamptonshire villages of Towcester, Silverstone, and Whittlebury. Two lengthy DRS zones along the most wonderfully constructed racing circuit in the world means this will go down in history more likely than not. Hotspot with you on the call. I am more excited for this first event than I have felt in a long time. This game, now I've only had it for 5 hours, but I've already noticed some sheer huge changes, which we'll get into in just a minute, as it is a beautiful looking day here in Silverstone. This is my first time in the menu for the broadcast menu, so it's a little confusing already. It looks much cleaner, has to be said. So, quick note already. The game, as I mentioned, was slightly less crippling than the last game. As Scavany reports to me, it's going to be full dry the entire session. So, quick note on this. If you do look and see that we've got some different colors and a couple of the same ones. I'm looking on your left screen right here on the leaderboards. We are using player cars for this first event, just mainly because of the tire wear differentials on equal settings, but you should be able to tell which team is which. As you can tell, Ryan Rod's here in the Alpha Tauri. That's a beautiful looking car as well, and I believe that is a Ferrari behind him. I'm not quite sure which one it is, but coming out on track is GSR Ryan Rods, looking to make an impact here. Also, as you can notice, we are on crossplay as well, so you can see a decent majority of the grid. I say it's about 50-50 really, between the PlayStation players and the non-PlayStation players, all of which being on PC. I think we do have an Xbox lad that's just came into the league today, but I could be wrong. So, interesting to see, and I believe the Red Bull cars, as I think we've just seen one go past Ryan Rod's here. I think, obviously, it's going to look... I think it is the special livery from Miami. Yes, it is. So at least that one is correct. But I tell you what, this is very, very interesting here. As you can see, Shirai Coleslaw in the other Red Bull here. Obviously, the colors don't necessarily pertain to what car they're in, so I'm going to have to keep on my toes for this event in particular, and hope that somewhere along the line an update gets thrown into play. Because, I tell you what, it is slightly confusing with the player cars. However, I will say I am loving the creativity of the teams that have put them together. Let's just say that. It is absolutely brilliant. As you can see, Shirai Coleslaw making his way now through Vale, turn 17, and eventually into Club to start off our qualifying session here. First round of Season 10, and Shirai Coleslaw gets us underway as he makes his way into the right-hander of Abbey. Now, biggest difference from last year's game into this one is obviously the stability of the cars. It's something that a lot of people talked about, a lot of people were looking for changes for, and it has to be said, it does feel a lot better. Again, I've only got about 5 hours on the game since I finally had it installed, so it is going to be quite a learning curve for all these drivers here, but obviously stability is a huge factor, and it's not necessarily acceleration. Obviously you're still going to be getting oversteer on exit when you whack the throttle down, but the cars now feel stable enough to where you don't need to absolutely slam the settings forward on the anti-roll bar, which if you're not mechanically gifted, anti-roll bar basically limits the amount of play the chassis gives when it turns into a corner. So obviously stiffer means the body rotates less, and that provides a much more stable car at the expense of cornering ability and a little bit of understeer. But it's very odd because you have to really convince yourself to trust the car now, whereas last game, obviously every driver everywhere on eggshells realistically, and now it's quite tricky because now you actually are able to mess around with it a little bit, as Shirai Coleslaw making his way through Club puts himself a 1:26.634. Puts himself top of the table at the moment. I believe next up we're going to get Ryan Rods. Who did we get? We got a car. Not quite sure who it is. Whoever it was only just starting a timed lap attempt. Only one car has managed to give himself a time now, although Edwin has just put himself provisional pole 1:25.762 in the Mercedes. I tell you what, I like that one quite a lot as well. And I think Ryan Rods in the AlphaTauri has just gone second. And I say second because Lancey has just gone second after that, as we do have a yellow flag. I believe it's just one of the cars getting out of the way. It is that of Scabney in the Ferrari, which, by the way, that does look quite neat, that one as well. Very tricky. Oh, the camera angles are still not good, is what I'm learning here. EA has not done the broadcasters any favors. That part is for sure. I believe next up we're going to get another one of the white branded cars. It looks like Gunnar Addy making his way now through Vale and into Club. He in the AlphaTauri as well. Rounding the final corner, where does Gunnar Addy put himself? Puts himself P7, 1:27.373. About a second and a half off provisional pole. Edwin, by the way, 1:25.762. That is a very solid lap. As we do have a yellow flag, it looks as if we've got ourselves an orange-looking car. It is that of Say, who I can't tell if he's perhaps had a spin somewhere or is just getting out of the way. That was coming out of Chapel. What team has Say put himself in? Oh, this is a McLaren. This is the special livery. Yes, it is. This is the special McLaren Triple Crown livery. Actually quite a nice-looking car in-game here. I'm just hoping that we do have a little bit of continuity with the liveries that we do run with player cars. Obviously, not all of them are going to be the same, but if you're looking here, VTEC in the Alfa Romeo, I'd say that one looks like an Alfa Romeo to me. Actually, almost a carbon copy of the real-life livery, so that looks quite good. Next up, I believe, that is Cali Robb, who's just rounded the line. I don't think that's going to be the lap to hold on to, as he's put himself P15 in what I would also guess is a Ferrari, this time with a little bit more yellow involved. I do like that. That's pretty neat. Next across the line is Helgelin in what I believe is a McLaren. Yeah, I'd say that's a McLaren. It kind of looks like one. I gotta say, I like the metallic finish to it. I'm not the huge fan of the fluorescent orange, as Scornsey puts himself on provisional pole in the Aston Martin. I tell you what, that looks like an Aston Martin to me. That looks really good. Bonjour Quebec, it says on the Aston Martin as he rounds through Village. He's gone provisional pole, 1:25.722. Puts only 4/100ths of a second back to GSR Edwin, who's in the pits at the moment. This is Gott Palmer in his Williams. And oh, by the way, this Williams livery, absolutely striking that they've put together here. I think, as far as liveries goes, I'd have to say that Williams and the AlphaTauri top two in my book so far. I think, realistically, as this is NLR No Jug, finds himself, I believe this is probably purple and pink, whatever it is, I'm not rightly sure. I'm not quite sure. What do we have coming around the corner next? I'm not quite sure. It's very difficult, I'll say. This is Fireballer on his way in. I would assume this, one of the Haas drivers. It's a bit of black and a bit of red. White thrown in there as well. Yeah, I would go ahead and say that's probably a Haas. I'm not quite sure. Edwin in the Mercedes there. As you can see, we do have an Aston Martin rounding the final corners. That of Scornsey. 19 drivers on the grid today. I believe we are missing an Aston Martin. I could be wrong. I think we have... who is that that's just gone slowly there? It's an orange one, whoever it is. I'm not rightly sure. It was that of Say in the McLaren, who I believe was just getting out of the way for some cars on fast lap. We have 9.5 minutes left in the session. Let's go along with VTEC in the Alfa Romeo. This, I would say, is not his time to tempt. Let's go along with him anyways, as now, as you can see here, slowing... Oh, and he's going into the pits. Maybe that was his timed lap. He's on... Well, I tell you what, I'm looking now, as you can see on the... What do they call that? The wheel brow? I'm not really sure what to call that part, but just over the right front wheel there, you can see perhaps some dirt, so maybe he's had a trip into the gravel. I'm just looking at the front tires. It definitely looks as if it's the case. Could be wrong. Edwin now making his way through Vale and into Club. Now this is the driver currently 4/100ths of a second off of provisional pole. Let's go along with him in the Mercedes as he goes down the Sir Lewis Hamilton straight into Abbey and then eventually Farm Curve down to Village and into the loop. Very tricky combination of corners this. It's not very much like other F1 tracks to where the first corner is actually not some sort of unbelievably tight right-hander. This is actually a very quick corner that will find trouble for cars if you're more than two side by side. You know, 3 wide there might get a little hairy. It's purple sector 1 for Edwin as he makes his way through Luffield and then through Woodcote and then down the National Pit Straight and heading into the infamous Cops Corner. Let's see what he's got here. Looks like, let's see how he takes it. I think he can go flat now. Yeah, that looks pretty flat to me. Just a little bit of lifting there. I tell you what, convincingly easy going through Cops Corner now. That was not going to be so easy in F122. That part's for sure. Maybe a little wide on the exit of Beckett's then. Only a 10th better through Sector 2. It looks a good lap so far from Edwin. Will he be able to hold on as he makes his way through Stowe, down the hill, in towards Vale? Heavy on the brakes he goes. This is going to be his final attempt for this occasion. As you can see, flashing red on the fuel. 125, 571 only. A 10th and a half. Back to that of Scornsey, who currently on his outlap. Behind him, I want to say, is that Lancey? Yes, it is. Lancey currently looks like he's on a flyer. Let's go along with the Dutchman here in the Red Bull as he makes his way down the National Pit Straight, heading towards Cox. Currently finds himself P6, just under 6.5 tenths off provisional pole. Through now Maggots, Beckett's, and eventually Chapel. Oh, that is just brilliant looking there. I may actually hide the telemetry then because it is oddly at the top of the screen here. Purple Sector 2, and Ryan Rods has just gone fastest, 125.216. That so far is the fastest lap by 3.5 tenths. Lancey looks to be on a good one so far. So let's tag along with him as he completes this trial around the Silverstone circuits. Through Club now. Looks pretty good. He does improve only just 126, so I didn't catch the rest of the numbers there. Only 7/100ths of a second faster. So he's within the top 10 for now, but the gap, especially within 4th through about 8th. I tell you what, it's quite close between 4th through 8th there. I tell you what, 8th through about 14th looks much more close. that part has to be said. The top 4 running away with it right now. Palmer to the line goes second, 125.507. Nearly 3.5 tenths faster than his previous best. 5.5 minutes to go here. Still has 3 tenths back to GSR Ryan Rods, who, by the way, making his way. This isn't going to be the timed lap for the AlphaTauri here, but making his way down the hangar straight. What do we have next up on a timed lap here? I believe it's Lancey. Nah, he was just on a timed lap. I wouldn't say that's him. Looks like Shariah may have just had a slight trip through the gravel. I believe next up we're going to get the Aston Martin of Scornsey, who, at this point in time, on a timed lap, finds himself just under 3/100ths of a second faster through Sector 1, 5/100ths of a second faster through Sector 2, as he makes his way now to Stowe. Rounds the corner nicely, doesn't really take all that much exit into Vale. That'll be a fun one in race. Let's see, how wide does he take Club? Not very. To the line goes Scornsey, 125.637, just under a 10th better. Finds himself at the very nice number of 420 behind the leader of Ryan Rods, who at the moment, has to be said, looks slightly untouchable with that 3/10 of a second lead. That one just looks very convincing, has to be said, for GSR Ryan Rods in the AlphaTauri. Cynical on his way into the pits finds himself 8th at the moment. Only a couple drivers left out on track as Say makes his way in. I would assume we're going to be seeing the absolute masses come in here in just a little while here. As you can see, 4 drivers on outlaps, 2 others on track. So we're looking at a total of 2, 4, and 6 on track at the moment. NLR No Jug finds himself P10 at the moment. Very close indeed to that of Shariah Coleslaw. Very close indeed behind to Say in his McLaren. I'm not actually sure. What team does No Jug represent here? I'm not actually 100% sure because, to be completely honest with you, his car's pink. I don't quite remember a pink car being had. Either way, making his way now through Maggots and Beckett's. NLR No Jug. Well, has he been called up? That may be the truth, as I don't see race day on the grid. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say... Well, I don't really know. Anyways, it's honestly, I tell you what, I wish this game was perfect at the start of it, because as much as I like having the player liveries, it's just, I can't figure it out. There's No Jug in whatever team he's representing today. The pink car making his way through Club and through Vale. Now this guy, I will say, finds himself P10 at the moment. He does have quite a lot of pace, this lad. So let's go along with him now as he makes his way through Abbey, through Farm Curve, and down into Village in the Loop. Seems to be doing pretty well so far. Holds it nicely. A yellow flag ahead as he makes his way through Aintree and down the Wellington Straight. What does the timing say for No Jug? We'll find out here in a second. He currently finds himself only 4/100ths of a second faster. It is, however, purple sector 1 for that of No Jug as he makes his way through Brooklands, through Luffield, and eventually through Woodcoast. Exiting Luffield now, heading towards Cops Corner. Very convincing lap so far. I could assume he'll put himself in the top 10 after this one. Through Cops Corner now, holds it nicely on exit. In towards Maggots and Beckett's. Now, I tell you what, Gott Palmer has just left the session. Now, this was a big, this was a big talking point controversy early on in the early stages of this game. The frame rate loss, as No Jug, by the way, 5, almost 6/10ths of a second better through Sector 2 so far. Anyways, the frame rate loss and you know, the glitching and the freezing has been found when drivers leave the session. So I'm not rightly sure how big the grid's been affected just then, as No Jug rounds Club Corner now. Looks pretty good. 1:25.674, 3/4 of a second better than his previous best. And oh, by the way, that's put him within the top 5, and quite comfortably as well. Only, was that 4/100ths of a second behind Scoresy, who, by the way, on his outlap now. GSR Ryan Rods, who is making his way. He'll be starting his final timed attempt now, as GSR Edwin has just gone 1:25.287, nearly 3/10ths of a second better, comes up 7/100ths of a second short in his Mercedes here. GSR Ryan Rod now on the flying lap, making his way through Farm Curve, through the Village, through the Loop, as Helgelin has retired. I'm assuming that one being in the pits. Ryan Rod's heading for Aintree now and down the Wellington Straight. What's it looking like here as Scornsey starting a flying lap? Time for Ryan Rods. He's only 7/100ths faster at the moment. It is good enough for Purple Sector 1, but as he heads through Brooklands and Luffield, I would say, at the moment, the lap looks slightly vulnerable. Gott Palmer, all he can manage is 3rd, behind Scornsey, making his way down the Wellington Straight now. I believe he looks like he's on a good lap. Ryan Rod's now making his way through Maggots, Beckett's, and Chapel. Holds it really nicely here. How does he take exit? Oh, that's about as clean as you're going to get. DRS activated on the AlphaTauri. Shariah Coleslaw puts himself in 6th. Making his way through Stowe now is the AlphaTauri. Yellow flag behind him. Down the hill, in towards Vale. He's got provisional pole now by 7/100ths. Can he improve? I'm thinking he will. Making his way through Club Corner is GSR Ryan Rods to the line. He's actually gone slower, 1:25.333. He's gone slower by over 1/10th. Scornsey now, I think it's going to be up to him, and something has happened with Scornsey because he currently doesn't look as if he's on a flying lap anymore. There's grass and stone on the right front tire, as you can see. That one is going to be all she wrote for Scornsey, who early in the lap was looking quite convincing. Oh, by the way, Lancey currently 8/100ths of a second faster through Sector 3. What does he have at the line here? Puts himself P7, 125.923. That's over 0.2 quicker than his previous best, as Vitek goes P14. And pole position goes to the AlphaTauri of GSR Ryan Rods, with Edwin not far behind whatsoever. Got Palmer and Kelly Robb will have a little bit more work to do, but good performance from GSR Ryan Rods. That's what you're going to want to see in the first round of the season. It's going to be Ryan Rods taking the inaugural pole for Season 10 and the inaugural pole for F123 here in Division 1. So your starting lineup then for the British Grand Prix here in the first round of Season 10. It's Ryan Rods in the AlphaTauri on pole, Edwin in the Mercedes in second, Got Palmer third, Kelly Robb in fourth, Scornsey in fifth, No Jug sixth, Lancey seventh, eighth is Cynical, ninth is Shariah Coleslaw, 10th Aero Racing Design, P11 belongs to Impossible Bacon, or just Bacon now. Electric Blade belongs in 12th, 13th is Fireballer, 14th VTEC in the Alfa Romeo, 15th is Say in the McLaren, 16th Houdini, 17th Scavney, 18th Helgelin rounding out the field. P19 is that of Gunnar Addy. And I tell you what, that was a very close qualifying session amongst the top four. The midfield looks very close as well. This is going to be a fun one. Okay, so that's something I don't like, is how it doesn't tell you how long before the formation lap actually begins. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, formation lap for the British Grand Prix here in Division 1. Like to remind you, Midwest F1 brought to you by Raise Energy and Epos Audio. So, one thing I forgot to mention, red flags potentially in play. You just saw you didn't see it actually, because I have not got a camera on me, but the biggest smile just creeped across my face saying that, because that opens up the possibility for so many different tire strategies to be at play. At this moment in time, let's take a look and see what our tire choices are. Ryan Rods and Edwin have gone for the hards off the start, one of three. Those tires will last you between 15 and 19 laps. The majority of the field being on mediums, that'll be 10 to 14. VTEC, the lone driver, on the softs at 8 to 12. Base game strategy said that going from soft, medium was the best available strategy. I don't necessarily think that's true, but that's what the game said. Oh, and by the way, speaking of strategy, this is something I did not foresee immediately, and I'm sure the commissioners did not foresee as well. But we have no option, so we're going with it. With the use of player cars, it doesn't actually tell you who you're going to be with at the pit stall. So potentially double stacks come into play. That will severely shake up the order, because let's say Ryan Rods and Edwin come in at the same time trying to pit, and oh, what happens? Ryan Rods actually is they actually share a pit box, and therefore Edwin actually loses positions because of that. That would be quite the scenario then. But for now, let's focus on the task at hand. 26 laps, beautiful weather here in Silverstone, and this should be a very, very exciting Grand Prix as Ryan Rods makes his way to his grid spot now. The rest of the grid forming behind him. Do I have buttons to change? No, it looks like Cali Rob has failed to find his grid spot correctly. Got Palmer files in. Final couple of cars making their way to the grid spots now, as Ryan Rods will be the car to lead them off the green here. We do have lights about to turn on here in Silverstone. 3, 4, and then 5. And they are off for the first round of Season 10. Ryan Rods has gotten a much better start, but down to the inside, it's nearly 4 abreast as they make their way through the first corner, side by side, by side, by side. And Ryan Rods leads them through, down through Sector 1. No Jug looking there. Definite positions swapping about. That's a big incident towards the back. No DNFs to be had as No Jug spins around as well. There goes Helgelin, is I believe made contact there I'm not even quite sure what car it was. Several cars spinning around in the early goings here as Callie Robb and Edwin side by side as they go through Brooklyn's corner now. It's wheel to wheel between these two, and I'm surprised the driver on the hard tires at the moment has the more pace. As a spin there for Cynical, and that's going to be a crash, and it's a DNF, and the safety car out on track. Oh, and it's a poor start to the season for the Williams team as one gets lost early. At least the car was quickly enough removed from the circuit. Safety car out on the early goings. And I'm surprised Helgeland didn't just pick up a puncture then from the amount of debris that was left on the track. He certainly ran straight over the front wing. Safety car on track. I don't think that incident was big enough for red flags. Ryan Rods will lead the grid back around Stowe for the first time as the field is neutralized and will be placed behind what I believe is the AMG of Bernd Mailander, at least the virtual version of him, as we find in now coming Callie Robb and VTEC, a Ferrari and an Alfa Romeo, the first two in. We would go ahead and assume wing damage at play. In fact, a hefty amount of drivers coming in now. Houdini, we've got Lancey, Helgeland, Electric Blade. Actually, Helgeland stays out. Fair groups of drivers coming into pit now, and this is what I'm interested in here. Who gets, who is screwed over here by the potential double stacks? Well, front wing going on there for Electric Blade. It's in the Alfa Romeo here. Ryan Rods at the moment retains the top spot. Scornsey has found his way up to second, up 3 in the positive direction. Gott Palmer has stayed stagnant in third, which I'll tell you is actually probably a good thing for the Williams team because they've had a very poor start to the season here early, with Cynical lasting only entering Sector 2. Edwin is down 2 off the start. Bacon up 6. Say up 8 in the McLaren, as well as what I believe is a Ferrari of Scavney up 8 as well. Meanwhile, Gunnar Addy in the second AlphaTauri, he's found his way up 7. Callie Robb down 10, Lancey down 10, and unfortunately for Cynical, well, I'm sure you could guess what's happened there. Ryan Rods leads them round the Silverstone circuit, now step aside until we figure this one out. So, ladies and gentlemen, the safety car coming in this lap. Ryan Rods at the head of the field, Scornsey second, got Palmer third, and Edwin in fourth. Bacon, by the way, made his way up to 6th. He's doing quite well for himself at the moment. GSR Ryan Rods, I would have to believe, is going to be under some pressure at the start of this race now, and I would hope that we get some proper motor racing here and not another safety car fest, hoping, as GSR Ryan Rods making his way through Vale and through Club, as the British Grand Prix back underway here for Division 1. GSR Ryan Rods gotten out to quite the jump over Scornsey there in second, looking quite a convincing gap between the top 3 even as they make their way now through Sector 1. Looks as if in the midfield, Say might be having a look here at Shariah Coleslaw momentarily as they make their way through Village and the Loop. At the head of the field, it looks like Callie Robb and Helgeland were side by side there for a minute. Yes, they are. The Ferrari versus the McLaren. Got the Alfa Romeo of VTEC in pursuit as well. VTEC's going to go around the outside and make the move past Helgeland now. And does he perhaps find something to try to get past Callie Robb? He's going to at least try to break the toe from the McLaren behind, and he's done just that. Very nicely done, as it looks like some shuffling about behind with the bottom 3 on the grid so far. Looked pretty neat there. Say in the McLaren currently trying his best to reel in the Ferrari of Shariah Coleslaw as they make their way through Cops, past Cops into Maggots and Beckett's. So not only this, we do have a battle for the 3rd spot as GSR Edwin within 0.5 of a second on Gott Palmer ahead. But meanwhile, as I was going to cut away to the battle between the McLaren and the Ferrari, the Red Bull, as in fact I'm going to do now, I thought Edwin was going to have a serious look there. As it turns out, he wasn't quite close enough. As Say still doing his best, trying to reel in the Ferrari. I keep saying the Ferrari. The Red Bull ahead. I don't know how many more times I'm going to mess that up. I'm going to apologize in advance. Looks like No Jug has decided to come into the pits. I don't know if that's a wing replacement or strategical. Gonna assume it's a wing replacement. I wouldn't necessarily. You just had the safety car. Yep, there goes the end plate on the left front side there. So that will be the culprit to that equation. Say within 0.4 of a second of the Red Bull ahead as they make their way down the Wellington Straight and into Brooklands. I would say at the moment, Say definitely reeling in Shariah Coleslaw here. This one's gonna get close within sheer moments. It's not only that, but we have the what I'm assuming is the Haas of Fireballer behind. He's watching this battle on ahead, doing his best, biding his time, as Say now within 0.3 of a second of Shariah as they make their way through Maggots and Beckett's. I don't think we have DRS in play quite yet. We're going to get that next time round. That's certainly a gap that Scornsy's going to want to keep in mind. He does not want to lose that DRS privilege of being within the second of GSR Ryanrod, because once Ryanrod gets into clean air, it's all over. And I tell you what, it's already beginning to seem that way as well. But more or less, Got Palmer pressuring Scornsy here for the second spot. Got Palmer in the Williams, has stayed same position off the start, finds himself within 2.5 of Scornsy ahead as they make their way through Farm Curve and into Village. I think for now, Scornsy's got enough pace, but once DRS comes into play, I don't think Scornsy's going to be able to hold on to the spot. We're going to wait and see. Edwin, meanwhile, not that far behind. He wants to challenge for the podium as well. Edwin's Got Palmer's going to look low on Scornsy. They've momentarily touched there, I think. And as they go through Brooklands, it will be Got Palmer taking the second spot. That may have temporarily left the door open there for Edwin. And I tell you what, the more that they fight, the more that door will be open. And it'll be interesting to see how gutsy Edwin decides to play it, as it looks like Shariah Coleslaw and Bacon side by side here as they make their way down into Cops. Not far behind, that looks like Fireballer trying to poke his head in on this battle as well. 4-car battle here for the 5th spot. Meanwhile, the rest of the podium 3 under pressure from GSR Edwin within a couple of tenths here. Let's go back up to that battle as Edwin now looking to the outside, looking for the outside even more, and he's got them both, perhaps. Does he? No, I think, as it's almost 3 abreast coming out of Stowe. I tell you what, brilliant attempt there from Edwin. He nearly had Got Palmer and Scornsy in one move, and I'm afraid he just had to take the long way around. Scornsy ends up taking back that second spot as Shariah and Say wheel-to-wheel exiting club. I tell you what, brilliant attempt there from Edwin. He nearly got both of them. But in having to go the long way around through the corner, I'm afraid that the traction of the two on his inside were just going to be simply better 9 times out of 10. And that is certainly proven correct here. And oh, by the way, it looks as if Bacon, who has fallen outside of 3 seconds of the podium 3 here, might be under pressure from Say shortly. That's going to help Say because he is under certainly some pressure here from Shariah Coleslaw as they head into Brooklands. Bacon certainly has to watch ahead of him because if he gets too caught up in that rearview mirror, it's going to be all over. As it looks now, everything's going to play it safe between those 3. As Edwin's still looking on in pursuit of the rest of the podium 3 here of Scornsy and Palmer. Palmer definitely looking for this one, as it looks like we've got a multi-car incident here. It's Say, I believe Shariah involved as well, and these two were battling not long ago, and I'm assuming it's the infamous Cops Corner that's played victim here. As you can see, that one, I'm assuming, has not gone well, as Say making his way past Electric Blade. That one's a bit tricky there, but we do have a battle. Scornsy, oh, I tell you what, Edwin's gone wide, as we were getting caught up in the incident towards the back. Towards the midfield. It's not the back. Anyways, something has happened there with GSR Edwin. He finds himself now slightly further away than he did before. And that, I'm going to assume, is not on purpose or his fault. Yeah, I'm not really sure how that one's going to play out here, but in the meantime, it is Palmer still trying his best to find something to get past the Aston Martin of Scornsy. Scornsy, by the way, is doing some great defending here at the cost of Ryanrod's now escaping to a 3.7 second lead as Palmer finds himself down to the inside there. Yeah, I'm not rightly sure what the turn of events with that was. He's not got a puncture. He's not got wing damage. Maybe has he gone up to Edwin, and perhaps that was his apology for the incident in Stowe last time around. I'm going to assume that's the case. I'm not quite sure, but it's a good play on him if that is the case in what he's doing. But at the moment, it's Callie Robb, 0.4 of a second behind Scavney, as they make their way now into Maggots and Beckett's. Not only that, Fireballer in pursuit, or rather being chased by Scavney. And oh, by the way, that midfield battle we were watching not long ago was Scornsy getting overtaken by Edwin up the outside in towards Stowe. Great maneuver there, as it looks like Callie Robb has gotten around Scavney. Side by side here, and oh, by the way, Scavney, I think, has maybe lost one or two, because finds himself now behind Fireballer. Callie Robb in on this as well. Callie Robb needs some defending. That's definitely contact there from the Haas back to the Ferrari. Lancey in this as well. Aero Racing Design. Oh, and Aero Racing Design has had quite the snap of oversteer there. Momentarily lost control of the car because he found himself in the gravel outside of Club Corner as we have a yellow flag. It looks to be Helgelin, who I believe has done a little bit of a spin here, yet finds himself towards the pit wall going down the pit straight. Not ideal there. Not typically a place you want to see a car. Meanwhile, Say, getting around Aero Racing Design now, looks to be a done move here, although both of them do have DRS. Looks like Electric Blade getting around Gunner. Electric Blade being in the Alfa Romeo, good overtake for him. 0.2 of a second now between Lancey and Scavney. I tell you what, Lancey's in kind of a holding pattern here. He's not necessarily made too many moves up the grid. He's lost 2 since the start, and he's got the potential to make a couple of spots here. He's got Scavney in his direct vicinity, and Fireballer battling up there with Callie Robb. That one got close last time by through Club. I wouldn't be surprised if Lancey maybe makes up 1 or 2 here. There's a little bit of screen glitching, and it's Lancey up the outside. Does he look for Fireballer into Stowe? No, he doesn't, because he still has Scavney down to his inside. What happens here? Does he clear Scavney then? Yes, he does. Nicely done there from Lancey. Puts him back up a spot as they make their way. Oh, but that was heavy for both of them over the sausage curb on the inside of Club Corner. Or was it Club or Vale? I'm not rightly sure. Both cars, I think, launched off the ground. So that one, I think, maybe was not the cleanest go through that corner, perhaps. As now we look with Scott Palmer down the Wellington Straight. He's in pursuit of Scornsy. Ahead, Edwin does not have DRS. This might be the this might be a good place for the move to be made here. Scott Palmer looks as if he's had to back off. Nearly contact made with the diffuser of Scornsy. Sorry, they don't really have diffusers anymore, do they? With the gearbox of Scornsy, and he's fallen back about 0.7 of a second to the Aston Martin ahead of him. Fireballer still pressuring Lancey for this 7th spot as they make their way through Copse Corner. Oh, I tell you what, Fireballers really had to let off there. That may and it will open the door for Scavney as they make their way through Maggots and Beckett's. Not sure what's going on with Fireballer there. Has he just simply misjudged the corner? And he's on the medium tires as well, assuming that he started on the medium tires. Good catch there by Scavney. And I tell you what, he's going to take it in stride as well, because then he does decide to go up the inside. And oh, by the way, VTEC's in this battle as well. I tell you what, now, if that was last game, Scavney would have absolutely lost the car and ended up in the barriers, and he caught onto it. Oh, speaking of losing the car, he's been contact behind from Fireballer. VTEC and Fireballer exchanging pleasantries there through Vale. Surely some side pod damage happening then, because those were quite, that was quite the battle of fisticuffs then between the two. Yeah, I tell you what, that was very close to ending horrendously there for VTEC and Fireballer respectively, and Scavney nearly got turned around. VTEC right up against the right rear tire. How he's not managed to get wing damage out of that, I'm a little surprised. VTEC now with DRS, using his battery as well. Does he make the move down to the inside on Fireballer into Brooklands? He does try. He slides up the track. Oh, I think he has pushed him wide. Fireballer still on the inside. Contact being made as they make their way through Brooklands and Luffields. And VTEC does get the better of him there. Albeit it probably wasn't the cleanest maneuver. But the overtake has been made, and VTech finds himself in 9th, Fireballer in 10th. And I tell you what, if you're Fireballer here, you got to keep your cool, because these have been a very tribulative last couple of laps here. I'm pretty sure I just invented a new word. I'm not quite sure. Here's Cali Rob down to the inside on Bacon, making that spot even before they get into Stowe. Very nicely done. I tell you what, Bacon, I don't want to say he seems to be struggling with his car, as Scott Palmer making his way in. He is the first of the drivers in the medium tires to make his stop. Remember, the medium tires lasting between 10 and 14 laps. So, I would assume this is going to be the time to see these moves happen, as now it's Say and Fireballer side by side as they went through Club. I tell you what, incredibly close battling this as they make their way now. Oh man, I tell you what, Houdini's got a front row seat to this one. Let's see what happens ahead. Very close indeed up the road. It looks like Say trying to give Aero Racing Design the business here. Aero's gone wide out of the loop. That run may be helpful there for Say. Looks like Bacon's gotten back around Cali Rob despite being on the older tires. It is side by side between those two as they make their way. And oh, by the way, it's Bacon, Lancey, and Cali Rob in this battle. It's a sheer fight for the 4th spot. As Bacon now, oh, he's not going to try it up the inside through Cops, is he? Oh, I tell you what, I think he wanted to. He thought better of them. Good awareness there from Impossible Bacon to not make a horrendous accident happen. That one would have been absolutely catastrophic. But as we look a little bit further back again, oh, I tell you what, this is some brilliant racing here from the Division 1 grid, as we are just about halfway through this British Grand Prix here, as Bacon getting around Cali Rob once more, albeit this is probably going to be only a temporary maneuver, as we see Scabney and I believe it was VTech exchanging pleasantries up the road. As, yeah, there goes Bacon to the pit. Scornsy's made his way in as well. Now, this is what I'm interested in here. Do we have a conundrum with the pit boxes here? I tell you what, that's a pink-looking crew. I don't really know what's happened. This is, I tell you what, this is a very interesting situation we have here. Say's got his own spot. I don't think we're going to see any I don't think we're going to see any sorts of mix-ups here. Although, goodness me, that would have been interesting if there was. And so, if you started the race on the hards or maybe pits after the safety car on the first lap, you've now been promoted to the top 4. That includes Lancey and Cali Rob, who I believe have both made stops. Yes, they have. Cali Rob, Lancey, VTech, and Electric Blade have all made stops, those of which that occupy positions 3 through 6. Ryan Rods and Edwin, those being on the hard tires, still currently have, I would say, another 5 to 7 laps on the tires. It's going to be close. I think if the round of pit stops we're seeing now for the medium tires are any indication, it's going to be at the close end of the predicted tire window, as we see Edwin coming in now on his 12th lap. So I think we're not going to see stretching of the tire windows that much. I think it's really going to be, if the game says that's where it's supposed to be, that's where you're going to be. As Fireballer coming in as well. As, let's see how good of a stop this is here for Edwin. Hard tires coming off, medium tires going on. Remember, the medium tires will last between 10 and 14 laps. So he'll have to make it 12 to get to the end of the Grand Prix. That one, I will say, though, as we are looking here, Lancey, I tell you what, he's going to have this move on the Ferrari of Cali Rob as they make their way down the Wellington Straight. Into the corner goes Lancey. He has now taken the 2nd spot. Very nicely done from the Red Bull driver. As Cali Rob, I will say they are even Stevens on tires, though, at the moment. So this one might go back and forth a couple of times here. Let's wait and see. And I've lost my previous train of thought now. Oh, we were talking about the 12 laps. Yes, so that one's going to be close there. Edwin's got to go 12 laps to make the end of the race. Now, from what we've seen from this round of pit stops, that's going to be a close one to make, because the drivers are leaving the tires with another potential 3 or 4 laps left of wiggle room there, so they are really cutting it close and precisely going on their pit windows for what the game says the tires can do. That is a very interesting call there. So, Edwin is going to have some work to do here. He's going to have to drive, I would say, slightly conservative throughout the second half of this race, as Electric Blade and Houdini making their way in. So 12 laps for the hards, as we have a yellow flag. That one involves Shariah Coleslaw. Yes, it does. He has found a bit of a spin, I believe, coming out of Stowe. And I tell you what, a little bit of marking on the side pod there as Gott Palmer goes fastest, 1:28.720. I'm not rightly sure what happened there with Shariah, but whatever has gone on, it's come to rest now. Closest battle on track shows Edwin now trying on his 1-lap-old medium tires, trying to get past the 2-lap-old hard tires of that of Scornsey. And just when I was talking about Edwin having to potentially play this one conservatively, well, he did exactly the opposite of that. He's immediately gone for the kill, and he gets the spot over Scornsey. Nicely done there from the Mercedes driver. Scornsey, however, still not that far behind, only 0.3 of a second. Let's go along with No Jug now. 2-lap-old medium tires. He's got, he's on 10-lap-old medium tires. He's looking for 2-lap-old hard tires, which is currently occupied by Impossible Bacon. Ryan Rods has decided to come in. Oh, this is a close one here. He's got 14 seconds over Lancey, as Aero Racing Design picks up the first penalty of Season 10, 3 seconds for multiple warnings, as Houdini does just the same not far thereafter. Ryan Rod's on mediums. Lancey and Callie Robb have decided to stay out. VTech on his mediums have decided to come in. Well, medium tires going on here for VTech. Has he made a stop prior to this? The answer is yes. That's his second stop. So VTech has just put on a fresh set of soft tires. Medium tires. Puts GSR Ryan Rods in a little bit of an interesting spot here. He does have 12 seconds back to Callie Robb, 2 seconds back to Palmer. Edwin not far behind Palmer. I would assume Edwin could... Oh, I've got a cramp. I've got a cramp in my leg. Okay, I would assume Gott Palmer might just have himself a move here, potentially. It's going to be interesting to see, considering that he's not really making up the ground. This is Edwin we're talking about on Palmer. Edwin's not necessarily making up that far ground on that of Gott Palmer. Oh, that was a terrible cramp I just had. Right in the hamstring. And I attempt to sit down here without triggering another one. That's going to be the next key. I'll hold the mic up here. It's Edwin getting around Gott Palmer there very nicely as they make their way through Stowe. That one has done nicely with the DRS. Oh god, I've got another one. Oh shit. Okay, that one hurts a lot. Big apologies here, Division 1 Grid, as we do have a caution somewhere. I believe that belongs to... Well, I'm not rightly sure who it belongs to. I want to say it's, perhaps was it Shariah? Sorry guys, I need a minute here. Oh. Note to self, don't broadcast after you have a softball game. And also remember to stretch, as Gunner now picks up 3 seconds for multiple warnings on penalties. Gott Palmer still in pursuit here as they make their way through Brooklands. And exiting Brooklands through Luffield and Woodcote down through into Cops Corner. Close battle happening behind. It looks as if perhaps, well, that was an overtake we had just missed. I believe it was Aero Racing Design getting overtaken there by VTech. Oh, and I tell you what, that's gone awry there. It's Scavney. He's found his way into the barriers. Somehow, I think, avoids wing damage. And I apologize, I wasn't able to quite catch along with what happened there, but contact was definitely made, and Scavney finds himself relegated down to 15th. Very not ideal for a driver who was having a pretty solid race so far today, as Lancey getting around No Jug then. Meanwhile, Say in this battle as well. Oh, looks like Cali Robb peeking his way into it. It looks like Say at the moment has the advantage. Cali Robb might be able to pressure No Jug here in just a couple of laps. Oh, that was a big wiggle then from No Jug. Cali Robb's going to go around the outside with ease. And Cali Robb now finds himself in 8th. Nicely done there, and I tell you what, good catch from No Jug. To be able to hold on to the car, because I tell you what, that one could have gone wrong very quickly. And again, that is the biggest difference in this game from last, as we see Cali Robb going up the inside of Say as they make their way into Brooklands, down the Wellington Straight with the aid of DRS. That move was always going to happen. And I tell you what, Cali Robb on those fresh softs, it's a bold strategy choice, but at the moment it's proving very helpful. As we look a little bit further back, we do have Electric Blade within 3/10 on Aero Racing Design now. Making their way through Copse Corner. Maybe a little bit of a slip there from Aero Racing Design as Electric Blade. Only 2-lap fresher hard tires. Oh, I tell you what, I'm not quite sure what's happened with Electric Blade there, but he's backed off quite significantly on his way into Maggots. And he's picked up 3 seconds from multiple warnings as he's gone straight across the apex curb. And that one, not ideal there for Electric Blade. Looking a little further up the grid now, it is Lancey within 0.5 of a second as Cali Robb goes and sets the fastest lap of the race so far. Interesting choice by these guys to take the soft tires. I'm assuming that these are the guys that maybe made their stop already and had that freedom. And I tell you what, the softs in the early stages right now proving to be very beneficial as Lancey going around the outside of Impossible Bacon as they make their way down the Wellington Straight. Very nicely done from the Dutchman there, and that promotes him into the top 5. And Bacon not far behind, although being on 6-lap old hards. That one, I think, is going to be a little bit more difficult to make up, considering Cali Robb 0.8 of a second away from perhaps making the overtake past Bacon on his 2-lap old soft tires. Meanwhile, Bacon has clawed it back to within 0.3 of Lancey ahead as they make their way through Maggots and Beckett's now. GSR Ryan Rods has kept the top spot on the grid. I think after all is said and done here, especially with the tire strategy, here comes Electric Blade, filing in behind Aero Racing Design down the hangar straight. He's going to look for the outside here on their way into Stowe. I think he might have it. No, I tell you what, it's good acceleration from Aero. It's going to be close. Aero's going to tuck in behind. Electric Blade does have that move made as No Jug on his way in on his 14-lap old medium tires. Okay, I'm going to attempt to sit now without another cramp happening. Goodness me, that was one of the worst ones I've had in a while, and it's still transpiring as we speak, as Cali Robb now may have a move at Impossible Bacon, as Bacon had the wiggle coming out of entry. It looks as if Cali Robb's going to have it up the inside. I tell you what, contact being made there with the side pod of Impossible Bacon. Oh, well, that's a car that's gone around, and it's Cali Robb. Bacon, I believe, did he go wide? Well, I'm not rightly sure what's happened, but Cali Robb finds himself losing the spot to Say and finds himself down in 8th. Oh, I tell you what, I'm not rightly sure what happened there. The camera angle didn't necessarily give us the benefit of actually knowing what happened, although I will say Cali Robb so far this Grand Prix has had the tendency to be aggressive, which is not always it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's not always a good thing either. And I think he may have had it catch up with him there. As we see now, still along with Aero Racing Design here, I think he might be having a look at Electric Blade through Stowe. Let's see what he has. No, tucks in behind Electric Blade still. It's within 0.3 of a second. Currently the closest battle on track, barring that of Gunnar Addy trying to pressure Helgeland here, as we are within 5 laps to go of race conclusion now. prior to this point, it's been an absolutely stellar British Grand Prix here for Division 1. Action at every turn, overtakes at every DRS straight. It's been definitely a fun one so far, and we still have yet to find the conclusion to this Grand Prix, although it looks as if, at the moment, Ryan Rods might be walking away with this one. As we see now, Aero Racing Design within 2/10 of Electric Blade, and I've gone away with it pressing the wrong button, that makes sense. As we look at penalties, this is battle for position amongst these three drivers here of Electric, Aero, and Houdini. Fireballer 2 seconds behind Houdini. So I think if he gains any, he'll gain 1 after it's all said and done, getting himself up to P12. Oh, I tell you what, Aero Racing Design and Electric Blade, I'm not rightly sure what happened there. That was almost a collision between the two, as they make their way now down the hangar straight. Aero Racing Design really in close quarters here, up the inside into Stowe, and Aero Racing Design has done it nicely, but Electric Blade not that far behind. He's going to try to maybe strike back into Vale, and it didn't end up that way, but Electric Blade still applying the pressure and still trying to get to Aero Racing Design now. I don't even know. Electric Blade's still within 0.3 of a second. I don't think he really has to worry about his penalties now. Just got to focus about what's on track ahead of him. And oh, by the way, it's Aero Racing Design, and it's quite the battle so far. Ryan Rods has a 6-second advantage over GSR Edwin. Got Palmer 3rd, Swansea 4th, Lancy 5th. Say, currently the biggest mover in the positive direction, up 8 after it's all said and done. Electric Blade, I tell you what, wanted to find the outside past Aero Racing Design. Aero Racing Design wasn't willing to give him that opportunity. Good defending there by Aero Racing Design as they make their way now through Luffield and Woodcote, heading down the National Pit Straight and in towards Cops Corner. At the moment, Fireballer within, oh, and there he goes, outside now of 3 seconds on Houdini. So Houdini doesn't look as if he's going to be losing the spot because of his penalty. Of course, he's going to have to keep it clean and make sure he doesn't pick up any additional penalties. We're going to leave this battle temporarily as it is Say in the McLaren, trying to find a move past Bacon. He's within 0.5 of a second. Oh, that was a big slide, and he's caught it brilliantly. I'm not quite sure how he's done that. Of course, naturally, as soon as I go away from the battle, Aero Racing Design does overtake Electric Blade. That would have been quite the conundrum if Say lost the car, but he's done well to hold on to it. Next time by, we'll have 3 laps to go. Uh-oh. Well, that was a slight bit of glitching there as Say finds his way around Bacon somehow. I'm not rightly sure how that's happened, but it has. Aero Racing Design down to the inside of Electric Blade. That's definite contact there through Village in the loop. Is there wing damage on Aero Racing Design? It doesn't look as if there is. Although that one has almost very much not gone to plan. Let's take a look at Callie Robb here. He's within 0.4 on Bacon. Ryan Rod's about to start the 24th lap of his race with 3 laps to go. He's got a 6.5 second lead over that of Edwin. And it looks as if the top 5 really... Uh-oh, we've got a spin towards the back. It's Helgelin. Helgelin's found the grass there, and I'm very glad he didn't collect any other drivers, because that one would have been absolutely detrimental if he did. 3-car battle here for the 6th spot, as Say leads the train to Bacon behind 0.6 of a second, and Callie Robb behind them at 0.4 of a second. The top 6 cars separated by at least 2 seconds or more. But throughout this midfield, we are finding some good battles here. We'll have to wait and see what transpires as suddenly Electric Blade, as Houdini has now found his way into this battle between Aero Racing Design and Electric Blade. Remember, not long ago, he was almost 2 seconds. I think he was actually over 2 seconds outside this battle. And it's been back and forth between Aero Racing Design and Electric Blade that has allowed them to give up this room back to Houdini. And once again, battle for position here. They're all 3 of them on 3 seconds of penalty as Electric Blade. I think he may have gotten the better exit out of Aintree. He's going to look for the outside around Electric Blade through Brooklyn's. Eventually backs off, but then switches back down to the left side. And I tell you what, brilliant racing this is, but only just. And Aero Racing Design holds off, and he holds on to the spot for now, but Electric Blade right up against the gearbox there of Aero Racing Design. Houdini in this. I tell you what, one mistake from either driver. Houdini's going to capitalize here. He's only 0.3 of a second down. As Cali Robb looking, I think he may get past Bacon here. Let's see what he does as they make their way into Stowe. And as it turns out, I'm afraid that move actually wasn't really that close to being made. Yellow flag, I think Helgeland's gone around again. Electric Blade up the inside as Bacon getting around Cali Robb there as Say. Oh, Say's gone to pit. Oh, well, that's a little odd. Why is Say gone to pit? I mean, you could see the... Is there perhaps graining along the side? That was a bold decision. Is he maybe just going for the fastest lap point? That could be what he's doing. I'm not rightly sure. That was a very interesting decision there by Say to pit at this point with 2 laps remaining. Either he was teetering on puncture territory, or he's gone for strategy, and he's gone to take away the fastest lap point. Very true. I tell you what, not a bad strategy. And meanwhile, whilst all this battling is unfolding here, Houdini, as he watches Aero Racing Design go up the inside, past Electric Blade through the loop and entry. Oh, by the way, he's at risk of losing this position because Fireballer has now closed his way nearly within that 3-second window. Cali Robb right up against the gearbox of Bacon as they go through Cops. As Helgeland's oh, it's in the pits. Okay, all right. I tell you what, we nearly got a crazy one there. Cali Robb, 0.2 of a second. Who's going to get the better exit out of Chapel? Oh, it looks even Stevens. Bacon's going to weave down to the inside. Oh, Cali Robb's going to have this one, I think. Yeah, he's going to choose the inside line through Stowe. And that one is going to be one of the easiest overtakes he has to make. Oh, but Bacon's back down to the inside. No quit here from Bacon. Side by side as they make their way into Vale. Cali Robb stays ahead only just and only for now. Coming up on, well, we are at about this point, a lap and a half to go. Cali Robb has managed to stay ahead of Bacon only just, and oh, meanwhile, battle for the 4th spot between Lancey and Scornsey. This now within 3.5 That was a little bit of a wiggle there coming out of the loop from Scornsey, and I think Lancey's going to have better acceleration. Scornsey weaves. Lancey's going to want it down to the inside, and he tucks behind the Aston Martin. Oh, I think he could have had that one if he wanted it, to be honest. I think that may have been a severe missed opportunity there from Lancey. I think he genuinely could have had that move, but he chooses the safe route. And I tell you what, he can never typically blame people for the safe route, but I think Lancey's going to be kicking himself if he doesn't get that 4th spot. Meanwhile, Aero Racing Design, Houdini, and Electric Blade all within 0.6 of a second of each other. And oh, by the way, Fireballer not that far behind. Now 2.5 seconds. He's within the window to overtake at least one car on the penalty as we start the final lap of the Grand Prix. Well, actually, it's Ryan Rod's coming around the final corner now, and Ryan Rod's taking the win here in Silverstone. It's been an absolutely dominant day from the AlphaTauri driver. He's got every reason to be happy there. Edwin comes across second. Palmer is going to hold position and take third. But now the battle here. Lancey's gotten around Scornsey at the death, and Lancey's going to take the 4th spot on the final lap. Brilliant stuff there from the Dutchman. And oh, by the way, this is happening as well. Electric Blade down to the inside on Aero Racing Design. He nearly lost the car, but was able to hold on. Electric Blade. Houdini within 1.5 seconds. And this battle, which was brilliant while it lasted, as No Jug retires going through Stowe. How many spots does Houdini make up? I tell you what, he's not actually lost any. Fireballer has not managed to capitalize on the penalties being had there, but it's GSR Ryan Rods taking the win here at Silverstone for the first round of Season 10 here in the Midwest Esports League. Brilliant race from all across the board. Well, it's good to see they updated the champagne celebrations. That was one thing I was hoping for. Ryan Rod's taking the win here, commanding fashion. Edwin second, Scott Palmer third, Lancey fourth, Scornsey fifth, Callie Robbins sixth, taking the fastest lap as well. Bacon seventh, eighth belongs to VTEC, ninth Aero Racing Design, 10th Electric Blade, 11th Houdini, 12th is Fireballer, 13th Say, 14th Scavney, 15th Shariah, 16th Gunner, 17th belongs to No Jug. Unfortunately for Helgelin and Cynical, they did not complete this Grand Prix, but they will have another opportunity next week as the league heads to China. Oh, by the way, what a stretch of races we have here. China, Hungary, Belgium, Monaco for the next 4. That's going to be an incredible season here in the Midwest. I can't wait! Hotspot, it's been a pleasure joining you on the call this time out. We'll see you next week.